You are listening to the Hiking Radio Network, where we talk the walk with shows by hikers about hikers for everybody.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning.
Welcome to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, with the spotlight on section hikers.
And I'll spread the word, and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come. And we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
Welcome back to the Jester Section Hiker Podcast, and I'm your host, Julie Jester Gayhart. I recently had the opportunity to finally attend my first Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association gathering that was held this year in Abingdon, Virginia. And believe me when I say a gathering it was. The weekend started off with a hiker roll call that was simply incredible. It was great to finally get to stand up with my fellow Appalachian Trail completers, representing the class of 2017. Throughout the weekend, there were plenty of presentations to attend, from learning how to run a hostel, hiking the Benton MacKaye Trail, to the presentation about the history and relationship between Benton MacKaye and Myron Avery. This year's gathering keynote speaker was Darwin Rakestraw. Darwin shared with us his passion for protecting public lands and even gave us a preview of his new film series called Public. He showed us a 4-minute clip of the first series in the lineup called The Nomad. And let me tell you, I was crying 10 seconds into that clip. Really looking forward to seeing the Public film series when it's released later this year. If I'm being honest with you, I really needed this weekend. I've never really spoken about it before, but sometimes post-trail depression hits me like a brick. One of the ways I cope with this is to get involved with the hiking community, give back, and become involved with trail organizations. I'm sure, like many of you out there, you never quite know when that depression will hit. So thank you, Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association, for having a great gathering weekend. Thanks to all my fellow hikers out there for the camaraderie over the weekend, and I am pretty sure I have found a way to become more involved with ALDHA going forward. I will talk more about that in a future episode. Attending ALDHA also gave me a chance to catch up with my friend and fellow long-distance hiker Craig Maines, or you all know him as Hawk. I admire Hawk and his accomplishments on the trail and his humble spirit. Hawk definitely has some long-term hiking plans, and as you will hear, he purposely lives his life so he can achieve those goals. Thanks for joining me for this week's episode, and now on to Hawk. All right, Hawk, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me back.
All right, you guys, literally, we are sitting in Abingdon, Virginia, on the patio of a Holiday Inn Express.
Yep. And
Hawk and I and many other long-distance enthusiasts have spent the last couple days at ALDHA.
Yeah.
And what an amazing experience.
It's a good time there. The miles under people's shoes.
Incredible.
That building is nuts.
It's nuts. So let's remind everybody who you are. For those out in the podcast world that may not specifically follow Appalachian Trail hikers. So first of all, congratulations. You just finished your 6th through hike of the Appalachian Trail.
Crazy. Doesn't even sound real. It doesn't.
So kind of walk us through your through hikes a little bit, when you started and kind of finish up where you are. And then we're going to talk about ALDHA a little bit.
Well, I started out in 2012, green as green can be, heavy pack, just like everybody else, carrying stuff I don't need. And then over the years, I've dialed it in and built this crazy community through YouTube that never would have thought would have got where it was at. And now it's more of, I think I've said this before somewhere, hiking the trail to me is not like hiking anymore. It's more like walking through my neighborhood.
Oh,
and
wow.
I get to stop at different friends' house all the way through the neighborhood. So it's kind of neat. But when you do it, you know, when you're out here year after year after year, people get to know you. It's different. Like if you were to do a hike now and then do a hike 10 years from now, there's going to be a different change in hostel owners and people running around. No one's going to really recognize you too much. But if you stick out there 4 or 5 years in a row, if that's what you're looking for, is recognition, people to know who you are, that will do it. I'm kind of over that whole thing. Kind of looking for peace and quiet now, but I did it to myself, and it's good. I embrace it, but it is a challenge.
I don't think you know what you do for the community.
I guess I don't.
So, you know, okay, so your first hike was 2012. So number 2 was 2018.
Yep.
3 and 4, 2019.
Yep.
5, 2020.
Yep.
And then 6, 2021.
Yeah.
So along that route, you know, you've got your YouTube channel. You don't monetize.
Yeah.
You know, you're not out there to make money. Although I think YouTube now runs ads on the front. They just do their thing. But do you see that as your way of giving back, allowing us who section hike or day hike the trail or can't get out there for, you know, long extensions at a time? Is that your way of how you see giving back to the trail?
Yeah, I would say so. For the people that cannot get out there to do it, they get a little outlet through me to see parts of it, I guess. It's impossible to film the whole thing. Maybe. I'm going to try to do that someday. We'll see. But yeah, it's just an escape for people. Like, for us, we get the escape when we're actually out there. And people that can't get out there, it just gives them a feeling like they're there, I hope, and a little bit of escape from the real crazy world.
Which you're getting ready to enter back into. So
I am.
Now you've completed hike number 6. A lot of times on your videos, you'll go live, and one of the questions I always see is, what are you going to do next, Hawk? What's happening? What's going on? But you have to work, too. I think people don't realize, you know, you work, you're in construction. So what is next? I know you're leaving here, Abingdon, Virginia, and you're heading to maybe your temporary home. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm heading to Alberton, Georgia, to work, to save up to keep doing this, because everybody thinks it's free for me now to be doing this. I spend thousands and thousands of dollars of my own money. I get a lot of help. I'm not going to lie about it, but I still do spend a lot of money, and it's not free to do this. So work is next, and then I've got a couple ideas noodling around up in my brain.
Of course you do.
I do. Yeah. There's like 2 decisions. I got to just choose one and go with that. But I'm undecided, there's even one that, I guess there's 3 decisions. One that doesn't even involve hiking too much, not long distance. I was going to take a year off from long distance because I don't want to burn out. And I was going to build my van out and travel around and do smaller trails, Arizona Trail, Colorado Trail. Just smaller, more maintainable trails than 2,000 miles or more, you know. But I say that every year, and I'm always back on the AT, so you never really know. A dream of mine would be to do the AT 3 times in 1 year, but again, that's not free, and it takes a lot of time. It's going to take a whole year to do that, so got to get my ducks in a row.
Yeah, and I think people need to realize and understand that you've created this for yourself.
Yeah.
And I can see that in you, and this is something that you want to do, but you still have to work.
Yeah.
But you've put yourself in a situation where I think you don't have a ton of bills, you don't have this, that, or the other. So how did you do that? Because I think people struggle when they have all these things in their life. How do they get rid of stuff so they can do and fulfill their dreams?
Yeah, that's probably one of the hardest things to do is just, for me, if I don't touch something in 30 days, I pretty much don't need it. So I get rid of it unless it's my tools to make money. But if you can get yourself debt free, it's so freeing. It gives you more time and money to do things that you want to do instead of things you have to do to pay your bills. I would start off with maybe paying off your car and not getting another brand new one right away, getting more payments, start saving that money, and then your cable. There's just so many things you can get rid of that people think they need and they don't really need, I guess.
Maybe conveniences. Look at what's convenient. Can I live without that?
Yeah, maybe stop going to Starbucks every morning and make coffee at home, and that'll save you. The more you save, the more money you have for adventures, and the less bills you have, the more money you have for adventures. So, yeah, I tried for years and years to keep my bills down low, and then I'd always buy another vehicle or buy a house, and it's like, why did I do that? So you gotta get rid of it again.
Buyer's remorse.
Yeah. In 12, I came back after my first hike, and I said, I'm never gonna get in that situation again where I'm gonna have all these things that I don't really want. And then in 2018, when I wanted to go hike the trail again, 17 I think it was, looked around and realized I had all this stuff again. And so I just sold it all again. And I told myself I'm never gonna do that again. And so far, I've been doing pretty good. Of course, I haven't stayed off the trail for more than 5 months. But hard to accumulate things in 5 months.
Speaking of not stayed off the trail, and I want to talk about a gentleman, Billy Goat.
Yep.
But we'll get to that in just a second. So, Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association. You told me last night the first time you went to an ALDHA Gathering was back in 2012 after your first through hike.
Yep.
What was your experience in 2012 with ALDHA?
It was good. It just seemed, back then, it just seemed like it was the elitist, like the super long distance miles, and just didn't seem like I fit in as well, I guess. Just because, what do you say to people that hike 50,000 miles?
I mean, unbelievable, yeah.
Yeah, and now I'm more comfortable there, I guess. It's a great organization. They look out for hikers, which is awesome. And almost everyone in that building yesterday had either hiked the whole trail or other trails. So they're all on the same mindset, which is good. Now, it's totally different than trail days. You go to trail days and anybody is there that even, no people that don't even hike and they're just there to party, and it's different. And this is more mellow, hanging out and talking trail, I guess, instead of just parties.
Yeah, and several workshops. I mean...
Yeah, you had a good one.
Thank you. I don't know if I convinced Hawk to hike the Mountains of Sea Trail, but I tried.
You got it noodling in there.
What'd you call it? You called it a side trail, though.
I did.
It's an extension of the AT. It's a blue blaze.
It's a right turn off the AT.
But I do appreciate you coming to that workshop. And there were some amazing workshops. I wanted to ask you what you thought about Friday night, because there was an opening ceremony.
Yeah.
And I had never been to an opening ceremony of ALDHA. This was my first weekend coming to ALDHA. And I've never hiked in the parade in Damascus, and I need to. I need to hike with my class, 2017. But they do a pretty special and unique thing where they call the classes.
Yeah.
And people stand up and get recognized. And, they started with 2019 and went backwards. What were you thinking during all that?
I was kind of thinking, man, I wish I could stand up for more of these years. There was a stretch, though, I didn't sit down for a minute, which is good. But, yeah, some of those guys out there, they just kept standing up and up and up and up.
I know,
wow.
And there was one lady out there, and I'm hating myself right now because I never got a chance to talk to her. But they would say, class of 1981, she would stand up. Yeah. Class of 1980, she would stand up. Class of 1979, she would stand up. And I was like, this woman is a beast.
She is. Especially back then.
Yeah, the 1980s. Yeah. And then they gave out some awards. And, I mean, people were quadruple, triple crowners, triple crowners. And I'm like, oh, my God.
It's like being around hiker royalty.
It is, but at the same time, they're hikers. They're talking.
Yeah, don't treat anybody different. Everybody's the same.
No, and you got to meet one of the gentlemen that gave you trail magic back in 2012. Tell us that story.
So I went out to Winding Stair Gap, 2012, my first through hike ever. Never had experienced trail magic in my life. And I got to Winding Stair Gap and Let It Be. He is a quadruple, triple crowner now. When I met him in Winding Stair Gap parking lot, he had a truck with the most Little Debbie stickers on it I've ever seen in my life. I mean, there's Little Debbie everywhere all over this truck. And he asked me if I wanted a Little Debbie snack, and I said, of course. Asked me if I wanted to ride to town. Of course I did. And then I got in his truck and started talking with him and realized that he was a triple crowner, and that's what kind of put the bug in my ear to do more miles. And it was just great to finally meet somebody that has done the trail multiple times, and he's still giving back and still out there. So it must be something special with the AT. If triple crowners keep coming back to it, there's got to be something good with it. So yeah, Let It Be, first trail magic ever by a triple crowner. It was finally good. I've been looking him up for years on social media trying to find this guy, and when we were doing the roll call, they said Let It Be, and I spotted him and I tracked him down the next day and said, hey, I think you're responsible for my problem on the AT. And he loved it. He's like, oh, I'm glad I could help. And I'm like, I don't know if you helped or what, but I'm out there. And yeah, meeting people like that, pretty amazing.
Yeah, unbelievable. And they also did a tribute to some people that have passed away this year, some very iconic individuals. And one that struck me was the Cookie Lady.
Yeah.
And the Cookie Lady and her husband have a place in northern Massachusetts. And I don't know if it's a grape farm. Would you call it or a blueberry farm?
It's a blueberry farm.
Yeah, I don't know where I got grape, but blueberry farm. And it's right off the trail. They let you stay on their property, and they're the nicest people. And she's the Cookie Lady because in the early evening, she would bring out cookies to everybody.
Yeah. Amazing woman.
Amazing. And when I saw her up there, I literally just started crying. I was like, oh my God. Because what it does is it takes you immediately back to, I mean, I could almost smell being there.
Yeah.
And I could remember faces and people that I interacted with at her house. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a gentleman, Clint Bunting, I think. He goes by Lint Hikes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Lint.
He's a triple crowner as well.
Yeah. I met Lint at the Cookie Lady's house.
Really?
And he was on his, I don't know if he was on his third or fourth leg of the AT. And that's when I met my first triple. He was working on it.
Yeah.
And I remember talking to him, and I was like, you're doing what? And he's like, no, I'm triple crowner.
Yeah.
Or I'm working on it. And I was like, what does that mean exactly? And he's like, I've hiked all three, I guess, the Pacific Crest Trail, Continental Divide, and Appalachian Trail. Not once, but I'm working on my third round of each one. Yeah. And he and I had the greatest conversation.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow. And he really inspired me because I was still working on my first section hike. And I was like, I got to get through this. I got to keep it moving. So it took me back to those memories. And I guess the thing with ALDHA is I do encourage everyone to join ALDHA because it is for the long distance hikers.
It is. It's great. They're doing good things.
They're doing really good things. And they're wanting to expand to, you know, it's the Appalachian Long Distance Hikers Association. So they want to incorporate more of what I would call the sister trails, you know, in the Appalachian area, which could be anywhere from, you know, the Pinhoti, which you've done as well.
Yeah, I have.
Benton Mackay, you know, all the way up to, you know, northern Maine. Yeah. So just an amazing thing. Is there anything that struck you with anything at ALDHA this past weekend that you said, all right, I've been lingering on these decisions. This is going to help me make my mind up?
It did push me a little one way towards one of my plans, I guess. When you talk to the triple crowners, and I always ask them, what's your favorite trail? And they all pretty much say the same answer. It's like having three different kids. You can't love anyone any more than the other, and they all different in their own little way. So that, as much as I hate to wander off the AT, it does push me towards like the CDT a little bit more. I think the CDT will be next for me over the PCT. but I don't know if I'm ready to leave the AT quite yet. So I don't know. Everyone wants me to go do other trails, but it really doesn't matter what anybody else wants. It's what I want to do. Yeah,
it's what you want.
And I'm sure people are getting sick of seeing me out on the AT, but oh well.
Oh well. I mean, you have to do what's in your heart.
Yeah.
You know, people need to go out and fulfill their own dreams. If they want to go to the CDT, you know, if they want to see the CDT, go to the CDT. If they want to see the Arizona Trail, go to the Arizona Trail. Go to the PCT. Go to the John Muir.
Yeah.
Tell us why your heart belongs on the AT so much.
You know, I think it's just the people. That's what I pinpoint it down to. The people, and for me now, logistically, if I don't want to walk in the rain, I don't really have to. You can get off the AT so many different places. There's so many escape routes to where, I guess, if you don't want to suffer through it, you don't have to. A lot of people, after you do the trail more than once or twice, I think you learn to use all the options available to you. And on your first hike, you're not really aware that you can get off trail if you're...
As much,
yeah. If you're feeling wet and cold, it might not... It makes you nervous, you know. And whereas to now, after my 6th hike, I'm pretty confident that of taking even less gear. Sounds crazy, and being a little more less responsible because I know I can bail at certain places, which makes it's kind of like a game to me now to see if I can get off at any road. Dirt road, paved road, maybe even a half-mile side trail or something. I just want to see how many places you can really get off the AT, because I've showed a lot of where to get off. And through my videos, I've showed how to do the trail fast, slow, big budget, small budget. The hotels every night, tents every night. I mean, there's so many different ways you can do it that I think you could do the trail, well, like Warren Doyle 18 times, and you still have not done it every way you can do the trail.
Right.
So it's new every time because I try to switch it up. Try to stay at different shelters, try to leave town later in the day than early in the morning, so I'm stopping at a different spot, seeing the trail in different daylight. But yeah, eventually CDT is next, I think. Might be one more round of the AT and then CDT, but it's hard for me to make plans.
So to match, I think the most somebody has hiked or through hiked the Appalachian Trail is 9 times.
That's what I'm gathering from everybody talking, yeah.
So I'm assuming you're going to go for 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I got, if I had that much more life in me and felt up to it, maybe 20. That'd be pretty much untouchable unless you were as crazy as me, I guess. Or it's either dumb or crazy. I haven't figured out what it is. But it's fun.
But it's in your heart.
It is.
You don't have a choice, Hawk.
No,
you know
I
that. You don't.
It's good for me.
And it exudes from you as I sit here in front of you. It makes me inspired to continue to fulfill what I want to do on various trails. And I want to see you meet that goal.
I know.
I mean, that would be amazing. We would have
be.
to sit here and talk again.
We would. Maybe we'll have to do this every time I hike the AT.
That's right. Every year we have a reunion, which would be awesome. And maybe next year, I don't know. Maybe we'll meet 3 times. Who knows?
You never know. You hiking on the AT next year?
The AT's pulling me back again. I'm working on my 2nd section. I got 600 miles.
Yep.
Pretty much New Hampshire and Maine.
Ooh, the best parts.
Yeah, the best parts. But for a section hiker, it's like going from the couch to New Hampshire. And I'm like, oh my God. So mentally, I work myself, into that because there is no way to train for that.
No, there isn't.
There isn't. And you can dial in all your gear you want to, but when I do it again, New Hampshire and Maine, I will do it again. I'm not sure when, but I'm not going to carry all the gear, and I'm not going to do it. You don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
And, it's, you and I talked about this last night. For some reason, people get twisted on where you sleep at night. Not you specifically, but, oh, well, you're sleeping in a cozy bed well, so what?
Yeah. It stings a lot of people in the wrong places for sure when I end up in hotels. But I don't think they realize in order to do videos, you've got to go into hotels and charge the batteries at least. And then if you want to get videos out every day, you're going to have to find places to do that. And the easiest places to do that are Wi-Fi. And you're not getting Wi-Fi on trail.
No. No, although you have found the places where, you can hold your arm up in the air for 45 minutes and make it happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. Everybody out here YouTubing, when they meet me, their first question out of their mouth is, how do you get your videos out every day? And I just tell them, I was carrying 50,000 milliamps of battery. Nobody wants to do that.
No, that's 3 pounds or something. Yeah.
And staying on ridges, people like to do that. But I'll go up on ridges even when the weather's not good just to get my video out.
Right.
So, yeah, you got to sleep up high. You got to carry battery power if you don't want to go to town every day. But you can go to town.
But
That's the beautiful thing about it.
That's the beautiful thing. Whether you follow, in this past weekend, they did a session on Benton Mackay and Myron Avery, and both of those gentlemen had very different philosophies on how they saw the trail. So, but they both loved the trail.
Yeah. There's many ways to do it.
There's many ways. And another thing that I've noticed when you have your lives on YouTube, a lot of people, they want to know about your gear. Gear.
Yeah.
And you and I had a conversation last night about gear. Gear is very personable.
It is.
And you don't really want to influence somebody to buy something that's not good for them.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of long distance hikers who are out there for a while feel that way. You get kind of sick of talking about gear, in other words.
Yeah, you do.
So,
unless it's brand new gear, I guess.
Yeah, and I mean, unless it's brand new. Gear's fun.
Yeah.
And you do want to talk about it, but you're not out there for your gear.
No, I'm not. That's the only thing I have to take my gear just because it helps me survive out there.
Right, you
if
stay
I didn't
safe.
need gear, I wouldn't even take gear.
Right.
But yeah, it don't matter what kind of tent you have, as long as try to keep it under a certain weight. But unless you want to carry 60 pounds, it's up to you. But yeah, the gear, what I'm using, may not work for somebody else. There's people using just a tarp, no bug net on the AT. I would not do that, so I can't recommend doing that. But they're doing fine with it. I need a bug net. Some people don't. Some people need more clothes than what I carry. It's all in what makes you comfortable out there. The more comfortable you're out there, the longer you're going to stay out there, in my opinion. And then once you get comfortable out there, you can start getting rid of stuff just to see, can I live without this? And then if you can't, then bring it back. If you can, then you're losing more weight and your knees are happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's about gear, it's about weight. Yeah, the gear really, if you could make a tarp or a tent out of Tyvek, it'd probably be pretty light and it'd be pretty cheap and it'd probably work, but you're gonna have a hard time convincing other people to use your Tyvek tarp.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And for me, I like to carry, a good old traditional tent. I have an MSR Hubba.
Yep.
And it's my little home. I like to feel protected. I feel comfortable in there. I can change clothes in there. I don't have to, I know I'm going to stay dry in that tent.
Yeah.
It's not the lightest tent in the world. It's 2.5 pounds. It has poles, but I'm carrying it because that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people miss.
And if I told you, oh, you don't need that, just take a little plastic tarp, would you listen to me?
No.
Yeah. So that's why I don't recommend any kind of gear, because most people are going to figure it out for themselves, which is the best way to do it. It's hard to use what other people are using.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a popular topic. Gear is necessary, but you kind of got to find your way. That's what I've concluded.
Yeah, for sure. And just because somebody's using this and it costs, $600 for, say, a tent, and there's another tent over here for $200, it's kind of a no-brainer if you're just trying to figure out what you want. I would start off with the cheaper stuff, definitely, and see if I like it, see how it works, and then maybe spend more money on the lightweight gear. It's hard to swallow a $600 tent.
Yeah.
But when you're on trail for 6 months, you can't pay rent anywhere in town for $600 for 6 months. And
No.
it's like your own little apartment, I guess.
Yeah. And, you know, for the time that you spend out there, $600 is nothing.
Yeah, it is.
And it could last you 2 through hikes.
Yeah, the tent I got right now is on my second hike. It's almost done, but lightweight gear to go 2 through hikes is pretty rare.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've probably got your eye on another tent, but I can imagine it's probably going to be something similar to what you have already because you're used to it. You've figured it out.
Yeah. Now I have thought about changing to a hammock just to try it because I don't want to sound like I know everything just by staying in my tent all the time because everyone, you need to try it. So I think I'm going to try it just because I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything about hiking. You learn something every day. Even I still learn stuff. So yeah, if you know everything, you're probably wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's a good, if you know everything, you're probably wrong.
Yeah.
That is true. So we talked about ALDHA. We talked about, what you do in between a through hike. You actually do work.
I do. That's all I do in between hikes is work.
Do you just go out on random day hikes or do you completely take off of hiking in between a through hike?
No, I'll go on random ones. I'll even do smaller trails. So how I see this going back to Alberton, I see me working for maybe a month, and then I'll probably go back on the AT and do a little section. Then I'll probably go back and work a little bit. And I could tell when my brain's like, okay, let's at least a couple of days. And then I'll go do some. So I see the Foothills Trail again in my future because I'm so close to it in Georgia. And I can just take, 4 or 5 days, get that done, at least somewhere to clear my brain.
Yeah.
And I'm close to the AT now, an hour and a half away from Amico Falls. So that might be options too. Go do, Springer Neal's Gap, go back home. I just need hiking in my life. I don't really care where it's at. I just need an escape once in a while. A mundane 9 to 5 is not for me anymore. I don't think it's for anybody.
It's not for anybody, but you've made it work in your life, period.
Yeah. I think it just becomes routine. Work every day, pay your bills, and it's just routine. Kind of like through hiking. When you first start your job, working every day, it's like again. And then it's routine. And then that's kind of how hiking is. Like you wake up, and then maybe the first couple weeks, it's tough. But after a while, you get a routine and it just becomes normal. And to me, I've been on trail so long now that trail life seems more normal than real life. So it's kind of a weird transition I got to jump back and forth from.
How do you handle that mentally? Because one of the topics of discussion this weekend is post-trail depression.
Yeah.
And people, it's a real thing. Somebody asked last night at the session, is that real? And yes.
It's really real. I can't really give advice on it because I am terrible with it. I just shut down completely. And I don't even talk about the trail. I don't do anything. I try to just stay focused on work, keep my brain busy and not think about it because if I start thinking about it, then it's only a matter of time before I just go. And I think the best advice I can give is keep in touch with other people on the AT. And when you're having issues, you're missing it, maybe go back and talk to those people or even go back and look at your own photos, your own videos or whatever you're doing just to get yourself back in that mindset of like, okay, I did this. If I did this, I can pretty much do anything. I can get through depression, that's for sure. If I can hike 20, but I'm not the right person. I completely shut down. I really do. I've never really told anybody that, but yeah, I
always get something out of you, Hawk.
Yeah, I usually just go. I try to avoid everybody for a while, like a week at least, and I figured out myself. It's probably not the best way to do it, but
you know what though? But that works for you.
Yeah, I try not to leave. It's terrible because there's people out there that were willing to help people with depression. I I've always had a hard time talking about my feelings about anything. So when it gets depression, then I really don't want to talk to anybody. I just shut down, which is terrible. I cannot recommend that at all. But I've learned to deal with it the best way I can, to where I just tell myself, you know, this is not going to last forever. I'll be back out there before I know it. It's always there if I need it. So if it gets that bad, I can just go back out to the trail. But yeah, that's a tricky one. I don't think anyone's quite figured out how to deal with post-trail depression besides just keep hiking.
Just keep hiking.
That's why I'm out there year after year after year.
Get involved in the community, volunteer.
Do some trail work.
Do some trail work, you know, be in that mindset with other people.
Yeah. Or even Trail Magic has worked for me before. Go out and help other people that have been out there. I know in 13, when I got done on the trail in 12, in 13 I was really missing trail. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? It's about, you know, it's April. So I went to Newfound Gap in the Smokies, and I was just taking hikers back and forth, Gatlinburg, boom, 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 like all day, and then throwing some in the hotel room, bringing them food. And it felt good just being around and talking to those people that were out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tricky one.
Yeah. So here we are, our second anniversary. That's what I'm going to call it.
Anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Hawk. Between now and our third anniversary.
Yep.
Anything you want to leave us with?
I just want to say thanks to everybody that has anything to do with the AT or any long distance trails. Thank the volunteers, the trail angels, other hikers. It's a community that I don't think it can be touched anywhere else. It's people that, even when they're down and out and they see somebody more down and out than them, they reach out to help, even though they're not feeling the best they can be. So it's just everybody's pushing everybody up in the community. I've never seen really too much negativity, maybe through social media, but on trail you're never going to see that.
No, absolutely not.
It's the keyboard warriors on Facebook and YouTube do not represent the trail community at all, if you ask me. All the fighting and bickering on Facebook and stuff. That's why I'm not really on many Facebook groups. Because if you want the true trail community,
you're out
go
hiking.
Out there. Yeah. And you'll see for yourself that you can't be beat. And that's probably why I keep going back. And don't be surprised if you see me back out there next year.
All right, y'all, you heard it here first. All right, Hawk, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Look forward to our third anniversary.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be at Weary Feet for my southbound next
Why
year.
not? Why not? All right, Hawk, take care.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Hawk, for sitting down and giving of your time to be on the podcast. Like Hawk, I am so grateful and thankful for the long-distance hiking community, organizations, trail angels, hostel owners, content creators, and all those who love trails. I hope all of you out there who are not members of ALDHA, please consider becoming a member. You will not be disappointed. I leave you with some words from ALDHA directly from their website. ALDHA is an off-trail family of hikers, dreamers, and friends of the trail working to preserve, protect, and promote the long-distance hiking experience. As always, you can go to the hikingradionetwork.com and click on the Jester Section Hiker Show to find all of today's show notes, pictures, and links mentioned in this episode. If you find value in what we do here at the network, please consider leaving us a donation by clicking on any one of the donate buttons found on our website, and please leave us a note and tell us why you enjoy our shows. Thanks for listening, everybody. Be safe out there, and happy section hiking.
I'm wondering if you'd go wandering with me through the wilderness and woods to where the winds are blowing free, through the darkness of the night, heading toward the morning light. I wonder if you'd wander with me, and I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods river and through the woods. You're wondering if I go wandering with you, what kind of trouble we'll get ourselves into. Would it be wrong to tag along with a band of vagabonds? You wonder if I'd wander with you. So I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. We'll round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods. I'm wondering if you'd come wandering my way, if you ever get lost or if the trail leads you astray. The music of the pack can always bring you back. I wonder, can we wander away? And I'll spread the word and you beat the drum. Round up the troops and get the gang to come, and we'll leave the streets and these neighborhoods, head over the river and through the woods.
For the ones who work hard to ensure their crew can always go the extra mile, and the ones who get in early so everyone can go home on time, there's Grainger, offering professional-grade supplies backed by product experts so you can quickly and easily find what you need. Plus, you can count on access to a committed team ready to go the extra mile for you. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.